What up, man? It's your boy Vigilante Styles here, and we're doing another video. And I was just thinking, right? I had my different videos, we tried out the SSL 4KG from SSL, which sounds great and amazing, and I do like it. We also messed around Harrison Mix Bus, Pro, right? Version 10. I don't have 11. That sounds great. But there, and I know I said that the Brainworx SSL, sounded a little softer. The compressor didn't hit as hard. But you know what? After some time and some reflection, I realized that, I don't know, it just has a vibe that I like. This is just vibey. And it's not even... And with the workflow, this is the fastest workflow for mixing, too. I mean, I thought Harrison was pretty fast. I'll be done with a mix with this channel strip faster than anything, and it'll have great vibe, like better than anything in terms of vibe. So I got this beat that I made, and it's pretty simple. It's only like 5 tracks. And I'm just gonna mix it, but I want you to hear the vibe, like just how quickly I can dial in a good vibe on this thing. And really, any of the Brainworx ones are good. I mean, you might like the sound of the E, you might like the 9000J. The 9000J for me is a little bit extra work because I like the fact that here they already gate your noise. On the 9000J, you have to do it yourself. So 9000J, you random your channel, you hit the range, then you hit pre to, it's the same as pre-DYN here. And then, do your dynamics, which I do the smooth compression trick on the SSL, which is ratio all the way to the left, threshold all the way to the right. And then for a kick drum, I'll put the release all the way to the left, fastest release on the kick drum. And then you gotta engage your filters and then turn, and then do your moves. That's a lot of extra steps. Here it's already done for you. Except that I did set my compressor the way I want, but my filter's already on, the gate's already on. So I like the starting point is very fast. So yeah, just let's go ahead as we mix. I'll tell you what I'm doing here, and you get to hear like just the vibe. So I can get this mix done like quick as shit, dude. Like I don't even have to think. I'm just going, right? So, but it's so easy. It's so fast to just dial a mix in. And you talk about like, they have the Jensen transformer, input transformer, stuff like that. Well, that's what THD is. Here, I can crank that whenever I want. It's not the same. It's not maybe the same saturation. I know that also this is kind of a Frankenstein, right? I know that the THD algorithm comes from all of Brainworx's THD plugins. It's the exact same THD. I also know that the compressor, for the most part, is the same compressor algorithm. It's just modified to react like a G series or an E series, compressor from an SSL. But it's the same compressor they have in all their other plugins because the compressor response here doesn't match the one that SSL does, right? But it's fine. It sounds cool and it's vibey, and they do have the auto gain, which so it operates very much like an SSL channel compressor. With a little few extra things. You get a second release, a high pass filter, and a mix knob too, so you can do parallel right here as well. But very capable compressor. Not the exact one-to-one match to SSL's their version, but who gives a shit, right? And the EQs, we've already checked the EQs. These are the same EQ. So the one in the SSL 4KG and the one in the Brainworx is the exact same EQ. So, and then you get the tolerance modeling, which I didn't think was much of a big deal, but now I kind of like it, because I like I guess the transient smearing that happens and a little bit of the width you get just by having, the channels offset like they are. and the compressor response. I mean, I could link it and then have a single uniform compressor, you know, but actually I like the fact that there's TMT in the compressor as well. So there's maybe one side's compressing harder than the other, and very ever so slightly. And it just, when combined, it really sounds vibey and kind of sells on the analog sound. Whether it's a true match for the actual console, we know the EQ is there, so who gives a flying fuck, bro? Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, it just sounds good. I also got the orange knob EQ here as well, which I think comes with the 4KE with SSL and not on the G, but on the actual desk, the orange knob EQ was made for a G series, which is why it's on the Brainworx version. So, dude, I just think it's vibey, and the workflow is fast. So you'll see like how quick I can dial in a mix right here. If you guys watch my other videos, you already know how quick I can dial a mix with this thing. Hold on, let's focus just on the drums here. All right. I mean, that was good, right? Let's work on the bass now. So random the channel, right? Since it's bass, I'm gonna leave the release at medium. Pre-DY it, and let's go. Well, I think we listened to the beat longer than we actually worked on it. See how fast that workflow is? Like if I were in a hurry or something, I would have already printed this. So if I were sending this off to mastering, I would not have this EQ or the emphasis limiter. I would take those off. But for me, it's kind of like a ghetto master in a way. Like I'm not really doing anything spectacular. I try to dial it all in the mix to where I think it sounds good, and then just get rid of the crud, right? Get rid of anything below 20, anything above 18, and then you know, if it happens to be low, just crank it up to, you know, on the limiter until you're smashing in 0. And actually, it's leaving some headroom. There's like negative 0.2 decibels ceiling, so you're not digital clipping. Sounds funky, man. And the thing is, has vibe, man. It has such good vibes. Like, I really like the mixes that I get, whether they sound like real fucking console. I don't know, dude. I just know that when I hear my mixes done with the Brainworx SSL with the Townhouse, they sound good, man. I can't help it. Like, it's really that. I think that's kind of like what a lot of other engineers had said. Yeah, no, it's not exactly like the desk I worked on, but it just sounds good. So therefore I use it. And I'm kind of the same way. I like the vibe. I know the EQ is spot on. So, I mean, I'm getting the sound. You know, at least the EQ part of it all. You know, and the compressor, I mean, I don't know if people necessarily hear the compression so much as long as the compressor is doing a good job. Because, I mean, if you really think about it, like if you think about like Harrison, the same way, right? They have the 9000J EQ. That's the sound of the SSL. That's the sound you're looking for. You know, they go, oh, but what about the compressors? The compressors, you know, you could probably mix and mix bus and get a pretty close sound to like a real 9000J mixed, you know, record. I don't think I think if you had to use the real desk and then you had to go to Mixbus 10 and finish mixing a couple more songs on the same album, I don't think anybody would be able to tell the difference, especially after mastering. So it's like I feel like it's close enough, you know. And in this case, I mean, I just love the vibe, dude. I don't know what I mean. I guess I do like the sound of Brainworx's THD, and I do like the sound of their noise or white noise generator, or whatever the hell it is, to make the noise. I like that sound, and I like the way their compressor is designed, and I like the TMT. And sure, I mean, yeah, AB contests, the SSL version punches harder and whatnot, but the Brainworx one just sounds more vibey. I like the vibe. I like the feeling. I think it's easier to listen to a mix done with the Brainworx versions than it is to listen to something done on, you know, a cleaner, you know, plugin. It's softer on the ears and it's just nicer, you know. I mean, I thought about this because I was listening, believe it or not, I listened to No Limit shit, right? And a good example, okay, I'm listening to No Limit's stuff, and Snoop put out The Games to Be Sold, Not Told, or something like that. I think that was the first one that he did with No Limit. And see, back then in their studio, they mixed on a Yamaha O2R, which was a digital mixer, right? And it worked for a lot of No Limits records. Everybody loved, like, you know, Ghetto D and all this other stuff. And it sounded good on that little O2R mixer. And they made millions of dollars off mixing on that, you know, digital, doing everything digital. But Snoop's records didn't hit right? Not on that one. So then they did the next album, the one where he's I forgot the name of it, but it's the one where he's sitting in the car with with actual dogs around him. It's not Dogfather. I've heard that was his last Death Row record. But anyway, it was his second, or maybe it was his third album. It was the one that came out in '99 that had the, you know, I'm down for my, you know what I'm saying? Down for my dudes. Can't say the word. I don't have the pass, right? But I'm just saying, but you know what I'm talking about, you know. Dun, 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 you know what I'm talking about? That song. So anyway, that song, that whole album, apparently from what I watched a thing from KLC, from Beats by the Pound, and that record was done, they mixed it, they recorded and mixed that in California at a studio where they had an SSL 4000G console, and that's what that was mixed on. And then I go, fuck, man. And I was listening to that album and I go, damn, yeah, now this album actually hits right. Like, I think this is the better one of the ones that he released on No Limit. And the songs sounded more like traditional to like what Snoop sounded like when he was at Death Row. And it really was the SSL console. Like, actually, but I noticed the vibe of that record, and I go, God, that vibe is really close, like, to what the Brainworx SSL 4000G plugin sounds like. And I'm going, you know, like, they did a good job at getting the vibe of that console into this plugin. And I'm going, fuck, man. Like, I was listening to it and I'm going, dude, this sounds like mixes that I do on that plugin. So it got me revisiting the plugin again. Because normally the sound that I'm chasing, quote unquote, is really probably one of my favorite mixed albums is Bone Thugs' early stuff when Eazy-E was still alive. So Creeping on a Come Up and East 1999. I didn't really like too much of the Bone Thugs stuff afterwards. I do like their songs, I just didn't like the mixing per se. I didn't really like Resurrection, Art of War. I didn't really like those albums. They didn't really do it for me, like East 1999 and Creeping on a Come Up did, you know. So it had to do with the studio they were going to at the time. I kind of thought the Both Thug Family album sounded pretty good too. I don't know. I know I like that one song too that was on the show soundtrack, which I found out was done on a digital console as well. But nevertheless, though, which was an everyday thing or whatever. But I think that ultimately, though, I really liked what they did on Eternal and on Creeping on a Come Up. So I want to say back then they were either using an SSL E or a G console, 4000 series. I've heard that it could be the G console, but when I mix with this plugin, I really don't feel like I'm getting that sound, that Bone Thug sound out of it. I feel like I'm getting closer when I use the E, but I did watch, however, a video where I think Crazy Bone was in the lab recording what do they call it, a radio edit version of the East 1999 song, and apparently that was a G plus console. But then I go, you know, back then people did a lot of Frankenstein shit as well, though. Like, it was a G plus console, but could have E series EQs, black knob EQs in it, you know, which people really like the black knob EQ at the time. I just didn't really hear the character of what I thought the pink series EQ. Now, here's the thing, right? The average listener don't give a fuck, right? They just nod their head and this shit's banging, shit sounds cool, you know? They don't know why it sounds cool. Engineers like you, me, and everybody else who obsesses over these plugins and stuff, we know the difference of what these plugins sound like and the kind of sound you're going to get out of them. And I just kind of feel like when I hear a certain song from back then, I can kind of get an idea. I have a plugin that gives me that vibe. That's basically what I'm saying. Like, I go, ooh, that sounds like the vibe of a plugin I worked with. And you can just you can tell how it hits, you can tell how the top end is, you can tell just kind of how it punches or whatever. And it just reminds you of a certain plugin that you use. And that's where I go, God, this really sounds like the fucking Brainworx SSL that 4000G, man. Sounds like they could have used this plugin. I know they were using the real desk back then, but the plugin really does nail the vibe, dude. Like, it's just kind of blows my mind about how close, like, to the vibe. Because when I mix with the SSL version, I'll go, yeah, this is the same EQ. The compressor hits harder. There's the Jensen transformer. There's the fader with the FDA or whatever the hell, not FDA, VCA fader, excuse me, with the blue can or whatever they call it. And they go, they have all that shit in there, but I don't feel like I got the vibe. I feel like it's still kind of clean, you know? But that's good, though. It's like a modernized G. But the way I really see it is it's probably like a brand new one, like right off, like if you were to equate it, it's like probably like a brand new one from the factory. And then the one that Brainworx gave you is one that's been in the studio and it got some work. It's been running hot, you know? So it's a little warmer sounding because it's been this one is emulating a console that's been used a lot. Not broken, but it's got more character. And that's why I like this one. It's got more character. And yeah, it's probably not as clean sounding, but it's got character and it's fire, dude, and I love it, you know. And I really, how many videos you see me mixing on a Brainworx channel strip of some kind? Like almost all my videos are that. And then it's Harrison, you know, because I have my times where I feel like, ooh, I want that desk feel and just want to play around, do some mixes. Normally when I'm doing a project, I'll try to stay to the same like console emulation for the whole project. So if I decide, or if I'm in that mood, whatever the fuck, I'm doing a project with a dude and I'm in my G series mood. That whole project I'm doing G series. Like I'm not, even if I feel like, ooh, I'd like to play around with my Harrison, I'd like to play around with my E series or my 9000J or something. I go, nope, this project has to have uniform character. So I stay with the G the whole fucking way. Eventually, I feel like I'll whittle it down to just using the one, you know, but I have options, so why not? You know, maybe sometimes use an AMEC, maybe sometimes use the Focusrite, maybe sometimes use the Neve VXS. But it depends on what character that, like, the person I'm working with, like, what they like, mostly, like the sound they're chasing. So, like, if I'm working with guys doing, like, trap and drill music and stuff like that, obviously I'm going to whip out the 9000J, because they're just not going to like the character of the G. It's too warm, you know? And I'll mix their record with the 9000J, and that's what I'll stick with, because that's the vibe for that particular album. And then if we're doing anything else, like, you know, just regular hip-hop, old school hip hop, I'll probably go to a 4000E or a G for the most part. Between the two, it really depends. I mean, if somebody says I want that 93 Dr. Dre vibe, that Death Row Dre, then I have to whip out the E series and probably use the brown knob EQ, and then that'll be the quote unquote, you know what I'm saying, that's the character of that record. I think this is probably my workhorse. You say Desert Island channel strip, it's probably this one. Like, I've used this on some of my shit. My own shit, other people's shit. I mixed a song for Waddell Mendez and Killa Kyleon. They had a really good song. Still Ballin'. It's kind of a play on Lil Kiki's old, you know, Ballin' in the Mix, but like, we just took it 25 or plus years later, we're still ballin', right? And this is the plugin I mixed that record on. And that shit hits like crazy, and people really love it. So this is the SSL 4000G from Brainworx. And I think, like, to me, like, this has got so much vibe, dude. It's ultimately, if you're going to use the Brainworx stuff, you're chasing vibe. But I mean, yeah, know that they're probably Frankensteining shit from other plugins, but they measure it out, and it checks out, man, and you're getting a good vibe, and it definitely sounds character wise like something mixed on one of those desks in a studio. So this definitely gives me the quote unquote big studio sound that I like. So there you go. Anyway, enough of me rambling. We've already mixed this record. We're done. Record. It's just a beat. We already mixed this beat, guys, and we're done. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Feel free to drop me a comment, ask me questions, and I'll be happy to try to answer them all. All right, man, till we meet again, it's your boy Vigilante Styles, and I'm out. Peace.